This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, so in previous class, we have seen some of the cases in how to create a thread by using a thread class. So one last case we have missed in previous session, that is here we can see on the screen, that is case 9. So here let us see, after starting a thread, if you want to restart the thread, it is not possible. Again, I am repeating, already when we write a statement called as, for example, t dot start. So after some statements, again, if you want to write t dot start, it is not possible because already t is started. Once again, we cannot restart it. So if you try to restart that, you are going to get an exception called as illegal thread state exception. Okay, see here. In this example, I have created one thread of type my thread. Already this what is meant by my thread we have seen in previous examples. So here T is thread type. So I am starting the thread. That is T dot start. So once already I have started thread here, after some statements, if I start once again the same thread, so already once the thread is started, so we cannot restart it once again. So we are going to get a runtime exception saying that illegal thread state exception. Okay, this is one of the exception you are going to get when you are trying to restart a thread. Once again, you are going to get illegal thread state exception. Now, today we are going to see another method of creating a thread by using runnable interface. Already in previous session, we have seen how to create a thread by using thread class. So today we are going to see how to create a thread or how to define a thread by using runnable interface. So already this diagram already in previous session I have shown you. So in runnable there is only one method called as run method, that is public void run method, which is having no body, because runnable is what an interface. Inside an interface we are going to have what abstract methods. Okay, from runnable, thread is going to internally thread is going to implement runnable. That means internally thread is responsible for giving the body for run method. So thread is having a run method with empty body. That means it is not having any statements in thread. So those who are going to implement or those who are going to extend this thread, they have to override. In our example, our class name is what? My thread. So my thread is going to extend thread. So whenever we are going to extend the thread, we have to override the run method of thread class. If you are not going to override the run method of thread class, what happens? The thread class run method is going to be called, which is not having any implementation. So already this part we have seen in previous session. So now we are going to see about this one, that is, if your class is going to implement directly a runnable, then how a thread is going to be created, that case we are going to see now. Okay, now see, we can define a thread even by implementing runnable interface also. Runnable interface is present in java.lang.package and contains only one method called as run. Already we have discussed this. So right, let us see one small example. So see here, so this is one small example. So if you see this example, you can observe what I am going to create a class called as myRunnable, which implements runnable. That means myRunnable task is what? To give the body for run method, because runnable is having only one method called as run method. So myRunnable says what? I will implement runnable. That means myRunnable is saying what? I will give body to the run method. So here what we are going to give? This myRunnable is going to give body for the run method. So the task of myRunnable is completed. Now see, in a myRunnable class, I am going to have a method called as run method, and it is having some body. In that, what we are going to do? Just I am going to print a child thread 10 times. So this is the a task I have written inside a run method in my runnable class, which implements runnable. Now, so see here, this is my program. Okay, this is my program. So here, what I am doing? So here, first you have to understand one thing. That is what? can we create an object for an interface? It is not possible. Okay, first remember this point. We cannot create an object for an interface. We can only create references. Okay, anyway, now see here, my runnable is what? My runnable is an is a class which implements runnable. So R is which type? So R is a class type, that is an object which contains which method? It contains a run method. So it contains run method. So in previous session we have discussed about what? Overriding of run method, overriding of start method. If there is no start method, what happens? All these things we have seen in previous session. So now the concept is, so R is which type? My runnable type. My runnable is implementing what? Runnable interface. Runnable interface is having what? Run method. So run method is implemented by this my thread. That means, my runnable. That means my runnable is having only one method called as public void run. Then where is start? Generally without start, can I create a thread? No, it's not possible. So you have to understand what? I require start method. Without start method, we will not go to a thread cannot go to run method. Now the concept is, where is start method? So in R there is no start method. Now I want start method. Now the concept is, where generally start method is there? In thread class. So I will create what? A thread class object. Now see, here I am going to create a thread class object which is having what? Which is having run method with empty body, already here what? Some body is there. This is what? Empty body. So this run is present in T means what? Thread class object. This run method is present in where? R is which object? My runnable object. So now T is having what? Run method, and also all methods present in thread class. So I am not going to consider all methods. Mainly I am going to consider only start method. So here start method is already in previous class we have seen what are the things that are going to be present in start method. So for this we are going to have some body. Last statement is what? Invoking a run method. Now these are the two objects I have to create it. Now the concept is, when I am leave about this R, I will explain about this R. Okay, don't worry, I will explain this R. Now T dot start. Now T is calling which method? Start method. Is start method is available for T? Yes, it is available. So it will call T dot start. Now what happens? T is going to execute start method. That means all the statements inside that already you know what we are going to perform in start method. That means what? We are going to allocate a thread to the uh, thread scheduler, and it's going to give some priority, and it's going to place some group to that thread, and so on. Many mandatory activities are going to be done in start method. And last method is what? Run method. Very important. Run method. Who is calling start method? T is calling start method. So to which run method the this control has to go? T is calling start method, so that the run method that is present in start, it has to go generally. Okay, if it goes to here, is there anything to execute? No, nothing is there. If nothing is there to execute, why to come to this run method? We have to go to where? We have to go to this run method. That means which is present in R. Our concept is what? I have to execute a run method in R. So now see, so that I am passing this R. If I pass R here, what happens means, so we can call this R as a target. That means which run has to be executed? R's run. Okay, now see, so T is here what I am calling T dot start. So it goes to where? T dot start. It will execute all these statements, and last statement, it what? Run statement. It will execute run statement. The concept is, which run statement I have to execute, that is passed by, that is passed as a parameter. Whose run I have to execute? R's run. That means the control goes from here to R's run, and it will execute. When this T is going to execute this run method, automatically what happens? Your main thread is there, no? So main thread is going to execute this for loop. Okay, this is the concept you have to understand. If here, if there is no R, For example, if there is no R, what happens? T will execute this run method, thread run method. If I want to execute R run method, I have to pass that one. So in this statement, I have passed R. R is what here? Target runnable. That means which run I have to execute, that related object is going to be passed here. Okay. From here what happens? From here we are going to have, here I am going to have two objects, two threads. One is main thread. Generally, who is going to execute this one? Main thread. Who is going to execute this one? Main thread. Who is going to execute this statement? Main thread. Now, from here, two objects are there. Two threads are there. One is main thread, another one is child thread. So child thread will execute what? Run method of, that means the control jumps from here to here. It will execute this run method. That means it will execute child thread. How many times? Some 5 times or 10 times we are having here. So let us see how many times it is having. So see. So it is executing 10 times. So after that, what happens? So when child thread goes here, what main thread will do? Main thread also will execute its task. What is the task of main thread remaining? So here some other statements are there. No, it will execute all these statements. Okay, that means simultaneously here you can observe the execution of the threads, because one thread is not depending on another thread. Every thread is having independent job. So while T is executing, main thread also will execute. Okay, this is the concept of creating a thread by using runnable interface. Okay, now so see here also we can't expect the output because both are executing simultaneously. So here just I have given one small output. If you execute once, you may get this output. If you execute twice, you may get the same output. Execute 10 to 15 times, then you can observe the different outputs. Okay, so we can't expect exact output, but there are several possible outputs. So one of the possibilities is what? It may possible. So some people may get what? Some main thread, some child thread, some main thread, some child thread. Mixed output may be generated. Okay. Here we no one can say while executing a multi-threading, this is exact output. Okay. Sir, when we can get a exact output in our multi-threading, when we go to the concept of synchronization. When we are why we are going for synchronization? I want only order execution. That means one by one has to execute. Then I will go to synchronization. If there is no concept of synchronization in multi-threading, then all the threads are going to execute simultaneously. If all the threads are going to execute simultaneously, what happens? So you are going to get mixed output, irregular output. Then what happens? We cannot say which output is going to be generated exactly. Okay, that is the concept. Now, here also I'm going to consider different cases. So before going to consider a cases, let us see in above program what we have considered. See here, remember these steps so that we will go to there. So R is what? So we have these three steps. If we are having these three steps, what is happened? We have seen now. Now let us consider in the in this case only. So remember, all of you remember this program. Okay, in my runnable, I am having a run method which prints what? Child thread 10 times. Remember this one. Okay, so here we have done this way. Now I am going to change this program in different way. So let us see the different cases what is going to be happen. Now see here, my runnable R. That means what? My runnable R means R is which object now? My runnable. Already in my runnable, what is there? In my runnable, I am having a method called as run method, which prints what? Which prints a child thread 10 times. So that means here I am going to have some body. So who is going to refer this object R? So after executing this statement, we are going to get this one. Okay. Next, T1 see here. I am not going to pass anything here. So T1 is an object of type what? Of type thread. So here what will be there? Here also a run method will be there. But here what we are going to have? We are going to have empty body. There is no implementation because it's the thread class. So next what will be there here? Start will be there. As we know that here start will be there and here it is having some body. Okay. Anyway, here it is having some body. Okay. In the same way, I'm not going to pass any target runnable here. Okay. You have to observe that. Next, T2 is having what target runnable is there. Anyway, T2 is also which object? T2 is also a thread object. So it is going to have which method? Same run method with no body. Okay. So with no body and also start method. So generally there are many methods, but for the explanation sake, I am going to take only these two methods which are important now. Later we will see all the methods of your thread class. Don't worry. Okay. So this is the case. So here we are having some execution. Now the concept is here target is there. What is the target? Target runnable R. But is there any target runnable here? No. So remember that target runnable is there. That is R here. So these three statements you have to understand. Later we will go to different cases. Now see. Now in this case, I am going to execute a statement called as T1 dot start. Now what will be the output? So already in our main thread, what we are having, I'm going to print 10 times a main thread. Okay, you can see here. So see, so the task of main thread is what? To print 10 times a main thread. Okay. Next, what is the child thread? It has to print what? Child thread 10 times. Remember these two jobs. Now I am going to call what? T1 dot start. If I call T1 dot start, so for T1 start is available. So it will execute this method and so on. Last statement of start is what? To invoke a run method. So did I pass anything for T here? No, nothing is passed. That means if target runnable is not going to pass it for a T1, what happens? It will execute its own run. If it executes its own run, when T1 executing its run, main method will do what? It will execute main thread. So T1 is not going to produce any output because it is not having any body. So main thread is going to do what? It will print main thread 10 times. So here I have given only 5 times, but in our program, what happens? It is going to print 10 times. So here output is what? 10 times. So this is first case. If I call T1 dot start now, if I call T1 dot run, now see, if I call T1 dot run, what happens? First T1 will go to where run. Now, is there the concept of any thread creation? No, because here directly I'm calling what? This is one case. If this is not the case, after this statements, if I write T1 dot run, what happens? That means I'm going to call directly a run method. That means here there is no concept of threading. So only one thread is there, that is main thread. So main thread is going to invoke a run method. So it will go to run method and it will print what? Which run method will go? T1 dot run. So T1 will go to execute run method. Who is invoking this one? Main thread. There is no concept of thread creation here. Just run method is going to be executed by a main thread which is present in T1. T1 is which object? Thread object. So it will come here and main thread will execute. Nothing is there to execute. Again, main thread will come back to where? Main method. And again, it will print what? Main thread 10 times. So output is what again? Here just we are printing 5 times only. Don't mind about this one. It prints 10 times. Okay. So let us study the statements here. Here what happens? A new thread will be created which is responsible for execution of thread class run only. Already we have seen this. Now in this case what happens? No new thread will be created. Reason is what? I am not executing start method. But what happens? Thread class run method will be executed just like a normal method call. Okay. So we are going to get what? Nothing is there in run method. We are not going to get anything. So main thread will come back to its main method and it will execute for loop in that main method. So we are going to get only main thread. Now the case is different. Now I'm going to execute what? This statement. After those three statements, I'm executing. After these three statements, I'm executing what? T2 dot start. Now see, T2 dot start. That means it will go here. Is there any target runnable here? Yes. Target runnable is there. That means what? Which run T2 has to execute it? No. Okay, now see. So T2 dot start. What happens? Thread is creating now. So it will execute all the statements of start method and last statement of start method is what? To execute run method. So whose run method it has to execute? Already it knows that. What is that? R's run method. So the control jumps here. So who comes here? T2 comes here, one thread is created, that thread is going to come here. Then at that time, what main thread is going to do? It will do its task. What is the task remaining there? To execute for loop which prints main thread 10 times. So T1 comes here. In this run, we are having what? 10 times I am going to print child thread. At the same time, main thread is going to print what? Its own method. So see here, new thread will be created, which is responsible for execution my runnable run. So see here, because your target runnable is there, so it will jump the control from here to here and it will execute it. But here what? Irregular output will be there. So generally I have given only five times. Here I have given normal output. If I execute the same program, next time what happens? The output may not be same because both the threads are going to execute simultaneously. Main thread is executing, child thread is executing. So if multiple threads are going to execute simultaneously, we cannot give a guarantee of the output. It will be exact. Okay, so you have to remember this point. Right. Now T2 dot run. Again, what happens? If we are going to use start method only, a thread is going to be created because all the mandatory activities of a thread are going to be done by start method. Now directly I'm calling what T2 dot run. Again, it goes to where? Directly it goes to here. Directly it invokes this one. That means again main method only will run this one. Is there anything in this run method? Nothing is there. So main method will come into the here and it will execute this one. Nothing is there. Again, it will go back to where its main method and it will execute what? It executes its own for loop. So only one output will be there. 1 minute, sorry. Okay. No new thread will be created. Sorry, here T2 is having target runnable. Okay. So what happens? No new thread will be created and my runnable run will be executed just like a normal method call. Okay. So here what happens? Child thread is going to be called and also it will execute main thread. Okay. Now R dot run. Is R is having any run? Yes. It is having one run here. Okay. So R is going to call run method. So R is going to call start method. Is R is having any start here? No. Then what happens? You are going to get an exception. That means what? Nothing is symbol start is not found in your R. See here. You will get a compile time error saying that start method is not available in my runnable class. Okay, is there any my start method in this one? Not there. So you're going to get what? Compile time exception saying what? Cannot find symbol. Which symbol? Start method. Where? In my runnable. Okay. Now R dot run. What happens? R dot run here. Here what happens? R dot run means here we are passing what? R dot run. Directly we are going to call this run method. So here there is no concept of thread. When we are using directly R, there is no concept of thread because R dot start means what? Start is not present here. We cannot call a start method by using R. Now R dot run, just it is a normal method call. So R main method will execute this run method. That means what? First which will be printed 10 times child thread is going to printed. Again after completing this run, it will execute its own for loop where it is going to print main thread 10 times. So see, no new thread will be created and my runnable class run method will be executed just like a normal method call. So first which will be printed? So exactly child thread will be printed 10 times and main thread is going to print 10 times. So this is the concept. These are the different cases. Now, let us see the questions here. So you can understand what are the things we have seen now. See the question. In which of the above cases a new thread will be created which is responsible for execution of my runnable run? That means till now we have seen different 6 types of uh, cases. In those cases where thread is going to create and my runnable run is executed. So where in T2, in T2 dot start case, what happens? So in T2 dot start case, it goes here and executes all these statements. The final statement is what? Run. So run means which run is going to be executed? It starts execution this one because here we are having what? Runnable target is there. Target runnable is there. That means what? when I am going to use a statement called as t2 dot start, then I am going to execute a run method. So that is the first output. Okay. Now, in which of the above cases a new thread will be created? Tell me one thing, that when thread will be created, when we are going to call a start method. So did we use t1 dot start? Yes. If we use t1 dot start, thread is created. Whether it is executing this run method or this run method, I am not asking. When thread is created here, so in t1 dot start case, in t2 dot start case. Now in r dot start case, in thread is going to be created? No. Is there any start method here? No. So in r dot start concept is not there. Okay, only we are having the concept of t1 dot start and t2 dot start. So in t1 dot start case, that is going to be created. In t2 dot start case, that is going to be created. So in these two cases. Next, sorry. Next, in which of the above cases my runnable class run will be executed? So first case, when I call r dot run, it will execute. When I call t2 dot, listen carefully. When I dot t2 dot start, what happens? It go on, executes, and final statement is run. Which run? R's run. So it directly jump here. Another case is what? T2 dot run. Okay, these three cases. Okay, some people may confuse, sir, why when we say T2 dot run, it goes here, why not here? Because your target runnable is there. Okay, when I call T2 dot run, T2 knows to execute which run. It will not go to here. Okay, so it goes where? When I say T2 dot run also, it will go to R's run only. Remember that. Already this one we have executed, sir, we have seen before cases. Now, yes, these are the different cases that are used to create a, sorry, these are the different cases we are going to see while creating a thread by using runnable interface. Now tell me a very important point we are going to see. We have seen two approaches to create a thread. One is what? We are going to create a thread by using a thread class. Second one is what? We are going to create a thread by using runnable interface. Among these two, which one is recommended? So some people will say what, sir, if I am going for thread class, but there will be only one statement, sir. Like if you write, for example, there is a class called as my thread. For example, my thread extends thread is there, sir. So here I am going to write one class and some run method I am going to write, sir. Just I have to write only one statement, sir. That is what? My thread space some t equal to new my thread. So it's enough, sir, for creating a thread. Directly I can call what? T dot start. So it is easy, sir. Here we are having only one statement, sir. But if you go to runnable, then we are having how many statements, sir? First I have to create a, for example, already we have seen my runnable statement. After that, thread class object has to be created, sir. In that I have to pass R, sir. It is somewhat confusing, sir. So better to go to thread class, sir. Some people will think in this way, but it is not recommended, because we should not think about easiness. We should think about performance or the usage of Java properties or object oriented properties. We have to see first. One important point I have to uh, tell you, that already we know the concept of inheritance. So inheritance concept is what? We are not having the concept of multiple inheritance in Java. That means if I go to first case, what happens? If my thread class is going to extend one class called as thread, can this my thread can extend any other class? No. That means what? This my thread can extend only one property. Sorry, only one class properties. I cannot extend any other class. That means what? When I am creating a thread by using this case, I will not get any other property, any other class properties. I can get only one thread class properties, because multiple inheritance is not possible here. If I go to second case, what happens? Example, here in this case, multiple inheritance is not possible. So I'm going next case. Here what will be there? Implements will be there. Implements runnable will be there. Now see, that means here what? Implements runnable. When I am implementing n number of interfaces, I can also extend one class. Okay, while I'm creating a thread, in this case, I can also extend some other properties. Okay, for this I will give you one small example. If you see action, your applet programs. Already we have done many programs in our lab session. So there, if you see what happens, class my applet extends applet implements action listener, for example. That means what? There you are going to get the properties of action listener and you are going to get the properties of applet. That means what? If we are going to use the interfaces, we are getting interface things, and also we can also extend one more class. But in this example, in first case, what happens? Only our class can extend. If you are extending any class, that only one class can be extended. But in second case, what happens? My thread is going to implement runnable. If it implements runnable, no problem. I can extend another class. It is the reason why we have to go for second case. Second case is best approach. Okay, but as per our standard, that is, as we are at 2 semester, we are learning only core. Okay, we are at core level only. So if you want to use first case or second case, there is no problem. But when we are using to, if you are go in depth about this multi-threading, then better to go to second approach. Okay, so see. So among the two ways of defining a thread, implement runnable approach is always recommended, because in the first approach, our class should always extend thread class. There is no chance of extending any other class. Hence, we are missing the benefits of inheritance. So what? We cannot extend other properties, other class properties. So it is a loss for our class. So, but in the second approach, what happens? While implementing runnable interface, we can extend some other class. Hence, implements runnable mechanism is recommended to define a thread. So, in yesterday's class, we have seen about basics of multi-threading and also how to create a thread by using thread class. And this session, we are seeing what how to create a thread by using runnable interface with different cases we have seen here. So, among those two, which one is recommended to use? So, second case. So, we have seen the advantages of second case. Okay, that means by implementing runnable interface. Okay, in these two ways we are going. So here we are having a thread class constructors. So go on, we will see these thread class constructors. Now I'm not going to discuss about this thread class constructors. Okay, now see. So till now we have not bothered about names of a threads. But now I want the name of a thread, sir. We are creating some threads, sir. Is there any name for that thread? Yes. While I am talking about main thread, I am calling that thread as main thread. But while I'm calling other thread which is created by main thread, I'm not going to discuss about the name of that thread. Just I have called it as what? Child thread. Now the question is, sir, is there no name for the child thread? It is there. So there is a name for our child thread also internally. By default, you are going to get some name. Okay, let us see all those concepts now. So already some default names are there. If you want to set the name of the threads, we can set by using the set name method. If you want to get name of the thread, you have to use the a method name called as get name. So we will see in detail about these two methods today. So now every thread in Java has some name. Remember very important here. Every thread in Java has what? Some name. Okay, what are those names? We will see. It may be provided by explicitly by the programmer or automatically generated by the JVM. Till now, up to uh, now, we know only one thread we have created. So main thread is created, child thread is created. Always I am repeating the same names: main thread, child thread, main thread, child thread. But now I am asking what is the name of first thread that is going to execute in your system? That is nothing but main thread. Okay, who named it as a main thread? I have not named it as a main thread. Defaultly, the name of that thread is main thread. Okay, default name is main thread. Then in our main method, I have created one more thread, sir. What is the name of that thread? That is important. We have not given any names for that one. So default names will be given to that one, like thread underscore 0. We will see all those things now. So if you want to keep manually a name for your thread, we have to go for set name and we have to pass the name here. If I want to get name of any of the thread, we have to use the method name called as get name. Okay. Now, so see. So by seeing this example, you can understand everything about get name and set name. So see, is there any statements that are present in this class? Nothing is there. That means no run method also there in this. Just I want to explain about get name and set name. Okay, I'm not focusing about run statement and start statement now. I want names. I'm talking only about names. So I'm not focusing about run method here. Your my thread is having no body, no run method. Okay. Now see, very important. One more method I'm going to discuss here. So this is a main method. Who is going to execute main method? Main thread. Who is creating main thread? Your JVM. So JVM will create a main thread to execute main method. So main thread comes here. It starts execution from here. Who is starting execution from here? Main thread. So who is executing the statement? Main thread. So I am having one method called as current thread. Okay. It is a static method. Current thread is a static method which is present in thread class. Remember that we are going to talk about a third method of thread class. Till now we have seen what? A run method, start method. Now we are seeing about third method called as current thread, which is static method. Already you know that static methods will be called generally by using a class names. So now see thread dot current thread. Now tell me one point that here what is the thread that is present? Who executing this statement? Main thread. That means here current thread is main thread. Okay. I want the name of that thread. So I'm going to use get name. So this thread dot current thread is going to give me current thread. I want the name of that thread. So I am going to use a method called as get name. What is the name of that thread? Main. So it's going to print as main. Current thread gives you. If I ask you what is the current class that is going to be conducted, you know that is Java. If your friend is asking, today which class is currently going on, tell me the name. He will ask you what? Tell me the name. Then you are going to tell what? Java. In the same way, thread dot current thread is what? Main thread. I want the name to be printed out. Then I have to use what? Get name. So whenever you are going to use get name, you are going to get name, which is nothing but a string. So the return type of your get name is what? String type. Okay. Right now, here I'm going to create what? One more thread. Listen carefully here. T. My thread space T. That means my thread is going to extend what? Thread. That means here for T, you are going to get which properties? All properties of thread. That means I am discussing only about run and start methods are there. Is there anything in your run method? No, nothing is there because I have taken that run method from where? I have taken run method from your thread class. So nothing is present. Okay, now see here. I want the name of this T. So see T equal to new my thread. That means T is what? My thread. Sorry, it is created as a thread and I want the name of that one. T dot get name. You are going to get what? Some name. Thread underscore 0. The name of that. Who kept that name? I have not changed the name of that thread. Defaultly, the name is given by whom? JVM. Okay. Okay. Inside JVM, we are having thread schedule. All these things we know that. So they are going to provide the name as thread underscore 0. Now, so who executes this statement? Tell me now. Who executes this statement? Main thread. Who is going to execute this statement? Again, main thread. Now see. So thread dot current thread. Which thread is there here? So here child thread is created. I asked the name. It given as thread underscore 0. I have not executed any start method, run method. Just I am asking name. So we are going to get thread underscore 0. Now here the concept is what? When I am going to execute, who is executing this statement? Where the statement is present inside a main method. So compulsory it will executed by whom? Main method. Sorry, main thread. So thread dot current thread means what? Again main. I want to change that name by using a set name method. That means current thread main method is going to be changed as, now what is the name? Bhaskar thread. That means what? Current thread is, I'm going to set the name of current thread as Bhaskar thread. If okay, now see system not out dot println thread dot current thread dot get name. So who is executing this statement? Again main thread, but I have changed the main thread as what? Bhaskar thread. That means who is executing this thread? Bhaskar thread. So thread dot current thread means what? That Bhaskar thread. I want that name. Get name means you are going to get pass cut thread. So here two methods we have seen which are present inside a thread class. And these are also present in a thread class only, because we are going to keep set a name for thread only. If I want to do anything for a thread, I have to execute on a thread. That method has to be executed on a thread. That means it has to present inside a thread class. So set name and get name are two methods. Already we have seen about run method and start method. And here we have seen one static method called as current thread. Okay. So these are the five. Till now we have seen five methods of your thread class. Okay. So we can get current executing thread object reference by using a thread dot current thread. Already we know this. Okay. Now, so now remember 2 points or two methods for setting the name and getting the name. We are having the methods in our thread class. For setting a name, we have to pass the name as a parameter in a string format. So I have passed in a string format. Okay. Here, while getting a name, no need of passing anything, because I am going to get some name which is a string type. Am I getting any return type here? Am I getting anything here? No, I am setting the name. That's it. So here return type is what? Void. So this is the case. Okay. So today we have discussed about what? Creating a thread by using a runnable interface, and also two methods for setting the name and getting the name of a thread.